Ever think to yourself, why do people go so crazy when it comes to like a new year? Fitness goals, spiritual goals, emotional goals. You ever wonder what is really happening? Why are people going this crazy? We're going to talk about that today. Welcome to the Black Man Black Health Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Cost, and today we're going to just uncover like what really happens around New Year for people and their mind. So I honestly believe nothing's wrong with fresh starts or new beginnings and things like that. I believe sometimes that we can fall into the trap of the hype versus what we really want. And today I'm just going to give you some tips that you can use if you're trying to better yourself in the fitness way. On this podcast, we do talk about fitness, physical health, spiritual health, and mental health. I'm going to give you some tips for each of them, and then I'm out of your way. So first, I say for spiritual, if you're wanting to get better and make different moves in the new year for spiritual, rather than saying like, I'm just going to go to church more or I'm going to pray more, I would say do this. Ask God, what do you want from me this year? I would then ask God to be very specific and give you details on what he wants. The reason why I'm going to say that is because there's only so much thinking that we can do until we get to a place of completely leaning on our own understanding, right? The scripture, Proverbs 3:5-6 talks about trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. The leaning on your own understanding usually gets us in trouble because we usually think we know the real answer, right? Just say, for instance, me and my wife were talking about getting new laptops a couple years ago. For me, my current laptop was completely shot. It had, the screen was messed up, the battery died so quick, and I had needed a laptop because that's the majority of my work was done on that laptop. So I'm like, I'm gonna save, I'm gonna do this, and I was doing all the things that I thought was right. That was me leaning on my own understanding. All of a sudden, some money came in, and I'm thinking, some money was getting ready to come in, and I was thinking, that money's gonna go straight towards my computer. I'll have it. Bam, God provided. And as the money came in, God made me sow that money. I was livid. I was livid. I'm like, yo, bro, like this money was coming in. I was gonna use it for my laptop. You're making me sow this seed. And it was clear. It wasn't like a guessing. It was very, very clear. Fast forward, the laptop I wanted had cost $1,200. It was a MacBook. I think it was an Air. $1,200. That was the price. So I was going to have to use that money and then put some more money towards to get it. He made me sow it. I sowed it, and kid you not, within maybe 3 weeks, my wife blessed me on Father's Day with a MacBook Pro, the bigger version that I wanted. So it was a bigger version, one with the big screen, all that, blessed me with that. You never know why God is telling you to do something or what he wants, or when he wants something from you, the whole scope of why. Sometimes it's very, very hard, and it's very, very discouraging when he wants something from you that you don't want to give. So that's the spiritual tip. The spiritual tip I would say is ask God, what do you want from me this year? Now, for the physical tip I would give you guys if you're making a New Year resolution is who do I want to become? Well, better yet, what steps do I want to take to become the person that is the goal that I want? So usually everyone wants abs. Abs are cool. Abs look great, but they're overrated in a lot of ways because usually someone who has abs, there's a lot of restriction with food, with some freedom, with time. You have to do a lot to keep abs. So let's say your goal was, hey, I want to get off my meds. I want to look better for the end of the, whatever the goal is. Ask yourself, who do I need to become to get to that goal? This becomes something where you realize I have to become a person that's going to work out when they're not motivated. I have to become a person that's going to work out when it's not convenient. I have to be a person that's going to work out consistently. I have to be a person that's maybe going to eat differently. Whatever that goal is, just go ahead and just work backwards and think, what do I need to do to get to that goal? Who do I need to become to get to that goal? I like the saying, who do I need to become? Because this will allow you to realize I got to become somebody else to get to that goal. I can't do the same exact things that I've always done the same exact way and then expect a different result. We know it by now. Albert Einstein has mentioned it's called insanity. So that's my physical. So spiritual one is ask God, what do you want from me this year? Give me details. The second one would be, who do I need to become to get to that goal? Now, the mental one is kind of tied into spiritual, but this one will resonate probably a little easier. What development do I need? And if you're just being honest with yourself, right, you know the areas where you're not strong, you know the areas where you're not weak. And I would honestly say if you can bring in a therapist or a life coach in this one, or a really, really, really trusted friend who's growing themselves, what do I need to develop now? Do I need to develop people skills? Do I need to develop networking skills? What do I need to develop? This is a hard one because at times we don't want to face that we have some weak areas. We don't want to face that we have some areas that we're not up to par in. And I have a ton of those areas, and I'm not going to lie and tell you that it's easy. It's not. So those are my three. Now, to make all of those make sense, whatever goal you're going after, you're going to have to become somebody different if it's a big goal. I'm going to encourage you guys to attach something like I call a fun goal alongside each of those goals. So let's say my spiritual goal was asking God, what do you want from me? Maybe an additional fun goal would be, I'm going to read a spiritual book by somebody. I'm going to go to a different church for a Sunday. Whatever you can think of that can match that category, that try to make something fun out of it. As you start growing and as you start moving forward, you'll have some barriers come up. You'll have some bumps and some bruises. You'll have multiple things that try to stop you. Having a fun goal makes things a lot easier. So for me, one of my fun goals used to be, when I was getting consistent with fitness years ago, was every 60 days, I'm going to buy myself something fitness related. And then after a while, I didn't need it to be 60 days. I can go longer, but it was fun to be like, I've been in the gym this amount of times, and in this 60 days, I can go ahead and get me like a gift or some workout sneakers or a workout shirt, whatever I want it to be. So put a fun goal to the spiritual part, put a fun goal to the physical part, and then put a fun goal to the mental part. Now, when you're hearing this, depending on when you're hearing it, the year we're going into is 2025. I would also say, think of a relationship goal. I believe strongly that we get so caught up with social media, the algorithm, business, that we neglect relationships. We neglect the people who could help us the most, or we would just neglect that, hey, these are some relationships I still should be pouring into. These are some relationships I should still be nurturing. That's not easy because we have busy schedules. We have tons of things going on. But I would encourage you to set a relationship goal. Who do I want to connect with? That may not be business. I just need to connect with this person for my soul. How do I be better in the relationships that I'm in currently? If you have a spouse, if you have friends, how do I be better in these relationships? And you'll find out that somehow, some way, these things usually cross. Like the spiritual ones cross with mental, the physical ones cross with spiritual, and it just intertwines. With that being said, we help people with all three of those, right? Our program called Black Health, where we help people get in shape mentally, spiritually, and physically. The goal for that is to help them have a holistic view of health. It's for them to have a viewpoint of, I'm not just physical, I'm not just spiritual, I'm not just mental, I'm a component of all three. And when we work with all three of those parts, the person usually ends up seeing a lot of results, and they usually end up sticking with something longer because you're using all of them versus one area. To get that, you can just DM me on any social media outlet, Coach Drew Cost, or go to our website, drewcost.com. I'll also put it in the show notes. think about what you want to get in this new year, and then think how you're going to go after it. I believe this can be a great year for you. I have no magic or no potion or anything like that, but I believe if you follow those steps, you can have an amazing year. Take care, guys. Be great. I'm out of here.